How important is it to you to remain calm and collect during disagreements, especially with those you love, and not let silly little disagreements turn into relationship altering arguments? If you said very important or important, then this video is for you. Because what if I told you that with just one change in focus, you can remain calm and cool in the majority of conversations and disagreements you have? Now, what is that? It's to change your focus from winning the argument to understanding the other person's position. Something that sounds easy, but is quite difficult because of our egos. Our egos want us to win. We do not want to be wrong, and we do not want to be told we're wrong. And when we go in to a discussion with the focus of winning the argument, and we're derailed from that, maybe somebody doesn't quite understand what we're saying or just fundamentally disagrees, our ego kicks in. Logic leaves the conversation, and now emotions enter. We no longer want this person to understand us. We want them to know we are right. And we no longer want to understand the other person. We just want to shove our position in their face until they're beaten black and blue by it, and just accept it on submittance. But more often than not, this leads to a world of trouble for relationships and one's personal relationships with themselves. If every argument you're encountering turns into a heated debate, and not even a debate, because most of the time both people stop listening whenever emotions enter the conversation. And I don't mean emotions like, hey, this is how I feel. It's more emotions like, shut the fuck up and listen to me. Those kind of emotions. Anywho, so how does this work? Well, let me first start with the clarification. There will be some disagreements that you have where you can work to understand the person, but the result of that conversation is learning that you do not share similar interests or similar morals with this person, and it could be a reason to leave the relationship. Understanding or working to understand is not you being a doormat. It's not letting somebody walk all over you, especially when we're talking about subjects that are near and dear to someone's heart, like maybe infidelity or, list them off, whatever. What we're talking about here is choosing your battles wisely. Most disagreements start over trivial, silly things, and they spiral, making more of something than it is. And unfortunately, the result of this is not only a breach or a breaking of peace within yourself, which screws you up for days, maybe weeks. Even if it's an hour, it's too much. But not only does it lead to that, or ruined relationships, altered relationships, or maybe the end of relationships, for silly reasons. I'm sure we've all been there. And I would say about 95% of the conversations we have are not conversations that we need to fight to the death for. Most disagreements are things where whoever is right just does not matter. So this strategy works by looking at the disagreement. How important is the result of this conversation to our relationship? If we're having a disagreement over the semantics of a word, is that enough to end a relationship? No, most likely not, right? Is that enough to break your peace? No, most likely not. Sometimes you have to pick your battles wisely. Debate can be a healthy activity if you are engaging with someone who is open to reflecting on the ideas with which they disagree. Unfortunately, most people are uncomfortable being challenged, and despite the best of logic, tighten their grip on beliefs when threatened. Now, this type of behavior makes for a useless interaction, a lot of talking and no listening. Instead, we must work to understand where the person is coming from, especially if it's a loved one. For some, maybe for most, it's hard to listen to someone they disagree with without trying to convince that person of their own opinion. We always must let the other person know that they are wrong and we are right, because otherwise, it seems like a thankless way of engaging in conversations. No gotchas or I told you so's to feed our ego. And so these tiny disagreements turn into huge arguments that could have otherwise been avoided if just one person worked to understand the other. Now, there is no need to debate over every disagreement. Again, pick your battles wisely. Most disagreements are over trivial things that do not require a fight to the death for. Instead of convincing someone that they're wrong, work to understand their thought process. Suspend your bias and try to see things from the other person's perspective. Try to see their reasoning. If you're confident in your own reasoning, then there is no need to feel threatened when disagreed with. In fact, it presents an opportunity to test and strengthen your own logic. Understand that if your goal is to convince someone of your position, you've already lost, because most cannot be convinced that they're wrong. Your goal then should be to understand their position. I mean, can you even be sure they're wrong without first understanding their reasoning? Go a step further and come together where you connect, and you will have won 2 times over, right? First, in better understanding your friend, and second, in keeping your sanity. Realize too that we are all guilty of being hard-headed at one time or another. So think about this the next time you're in a disagreement with someone. It's possible that you're being the one who's hard-headed. Now, what if we did this? What if we started working to understand people instead of working to try to win over an argument or compete against them in conversation? Well, we'd have more peace. We'd be less easily disrupted. So today, number 1, start recognizing when you're in disagreements over silly, trivial things that do not matter to the greater good of your life or relationships. Number 2, suspend your ego. It will be tough to not try to fight to be right. Suspend it. Keep them back. Let them know, hey, if you're so confident in being right, then you should have no problem listening to someone else's opinion. And number 3, work to understand that other person's opinion, specifically when it comes to loved ones, because those are the people that you should spend the most energy trying to understand. Number 4, come together where you agree. More often than not, once you work to understand someone and they realize that you are working to understand them and not just repeat their point of view, they will lower their defenses. And it's possible that a very healthy and productive conversation can start. It's not the same with everybody. Everybody's not like that. There will be times where maybe you do have to cut someone off because you disagree on huge moral issues that cannot be looked over. You know, there's some issues that are bigger than what are we going to watch on TV tonight, or what are we going to eat tonight, or what color is that, or what does that word mean, or you messed up on the directions, or I told you to pick this up, yada, yada, yada.